They could easily do that here. But, as we said, the bans will be different. There's no way TSM can ban the same things they banned without giving up Nidalee, so they banned Nidalee first.
Yeah.
That means either Lee Sin, Twisted Fate, or Gangplank could go through.
Poppy gets taken away from Haunter, as well as the Graves there. Also Svenskeren in that case. Global map pressure, so it looks like the Gangplank will be left up this time, unless they go for the double again, but I feel like that's a waste at this point. Final one for Cloud9. These ones going much faster. Now the teams know and have kind of felt out these first 2 games. It's a Gragas. So the jungle's still getting a bit of a hit here.
This would say they're looking to first pick Kindred.
With that Lee ban, right?
Yeah, well, they're trying to bait these things out, right? Because there's still the Gangplank, so it's a very difficult decision for TSM to make here. They're trapped giving Cloud9 something they don't want to give them.
They're trying to pigeonhole them into forcing the Kindred first pick now.
They've done.
And that's easily done, because we talked about the champion pools for both Rush and High.
I mean, it basically means Svenskeren's going to be on Elise again, because the Gragas had been banned out, and very heavy jungle bans.
And we're not mentioning Graves as well. I mean, Graves is a flex ban. It is also a ban that hits the jungle and has been banned several times here. It's something that Svenskeren plays a lot in the jungle, and he's very good at in solo queue at least. So this is Svenskeren also being targeting in picks and bans. It's not just TSM targeting Rush, but also on the opposite side. Some respect here from Cloud9, throwing extra bans at Sven as well.
15 seconds for these. Rumble, obviously haven't seen it in a while. A little Rumble jungle, but it's not going to be going on that side. Still waiting for TSM. Now they're actually holding off until the last moment. We actually get to see some Corki play now. The Maokai still locked in for Haunter. It was that good last game, so he's going to go with it again.
Cloud9 had been getting Corki off the table, but this time they decided for some more targeted bans. It also will get Bjergsen off of Azir. It means TSM had good success power picking last time on blue side. This time they're going to power pick on red, which gets rid of a lot of their counter picking ability, but still gives them that Maokai that was so crushing last game.
And getting him off Azir is not much of a success when he gets on to Corki, right? Corki puts out a ridiculous amount of backline magic DPS as well. Once again, TSM can easily diversify their damage profile for the team. It is technically also a flex pick that they could still move around if they really want to. I don't think Cloud9 will make the same mistake, though, and put full attack damage into this Maokai. But as of yet, they have not shown the magic damage source.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be Twisted Fate. We know that because it's banned. We thought maybe he was going to play LeBlanc the last time. LeBlanc's pretty okay into Corki, or he can just pick Azir himself.
Exactly.
Because
he
that's
did it
what
last
he would need
game
to cut through the
against Liquid.
That would mean that Rush would have to be very good with his Kindred ultimates here, because it looks like Balls would be on Gangplank then. And that, again, leaves High as the only frontliner here for the squad, so they have to rely on these abilities that block damage rather than a tank to soak damage.
Yep.
It's on the Unbreakable and the Lamb's Respite.
The Janna actually worked quite well for TSM in re-engaging their fights once they walked back a bit and kited it out. They'll choose that once again for Yellow Star, and the Elise locked in for Svenskeren, as in Game 1.
Kind of what we thought he would do when he's pushed down to essentially the 6th available jungler with 4 bans and the Kindred picked away. Janna very successful for Yellow Star as well.
Yeah. It's an easy
They're
comfort
going for
pick.
team fighting. It's going to be interesting to see what Cloud9 goes here. There's also the danger here with the Corki being picked so early. The double if just plays it. And therefore Jensen can get counterpicked by Bjergsen. So if he does go Azir, it's very free for Bjergsen to just go Zed against it. And TSM wouldn't run into the same damage profile problems that Cloud9 did in the last game. More generic pick like that.
So I was after the last patch, I was wondering if Orianna would make a comeback. She actually got some mana buffs on her Q.
Yep.
And Jensen has been one of the players. Like, Orianna's never really a champion that takes over a season or anything, but she always pops up. She's there in almost every season, every once in a while, especially by players like Jensen who have played her for so long. And he has had some of his best games on Orianna, taking over for the team. Plus, it's a good all-around pick. You talked about getting counterpick, the possibility of this flex. Corki kind of protects himself that way. Orianna can farm safely against anyone that is a slightly bad matchup.
Yeah, and Jensen had 2 of his best games of the split in week 4. He played it back-to-back, won a weekly MVP, and then it was just gone for the rest of the season. But it's always something he's going to be able to pick out when you just need a generic mid to round out any team composition. Bjergsen's still going to go with the Zed, so we'll see the flex Corki down on the bottom side, but it's not as disastrous as if Jensen would have picked a weaker laner into it.
Yeah, and the buffs to her command attack do let her reposition the ball more frequently, a bit earlier in the lane phase. It is more of a lane phase buff as well, so we'll see how the matchup actually goes now, because it is still, good for Bjergsen. We'll see how well Jensen can play it, though.
It's never a fun matchup in general when you're energy versus mana. The resource pool always in favor of Bjergsen here. We'll see if he uses that aggression in the early game. He actually was able to go off on Azir a little bit last time with Svenskeren going quite hard in the lanes. We're up 1-1 right now in the quarterfinals. Cloud9 versus TSM. We just heard Hai say it. This is usually the final matchup, but it's actually had to be played in the quarterfinals. So only one team is moving on to face Counter Logic Gaming. Is it going to be Cloud9? Is it going to be TSM? C9 will be back on blue side for this game with TSM on the red side. The coaches will part ways with their players to listen into the comms during the game, but those are their final words.
Really excited here to see some more sneaky Jhin as well.
Yeah.
Because Jhin is such an interesting champion. Like, if you go and have these skirmishes that Cloud9 like to take, he can back off afterwards, and you think you've gotten away, escaped with half-life or something, and the snipes come through if Sneaky's accurate.
Calling the curtain down. Tell us who you think is going to be moving on to the semifinals. Send hashtag C9win or hashtag TSMwin. We'll update the poll in just a bit, as always. Everybody waiting. Game 3 coming up. And we are about to be on to the Rift. Cloud9, as I said, coming off the blue side now. Fared well from Game 1 here, but could not find the win in Game 2. We'll see who gets this number 3 to take the momentum.
Yeah, Cloud9 this time around bringing a lot more tools to the table that they can use in teamfight scenarios. Think about the amount of area that Cloud9 can control. They've got Braum plus Gangplank right there is a lot of offensive control. And then they obviously have the defensive control of Kindred. So there's a lot of abilities that they can use to try and control the battlefield and force TSM, if they are into a grouped up scenario, into a bad spot.
I do still think they could have problems killing the Maokai in teamfights. Yeah. Orianna is not your sustained damage type of mid laner. More of an enabler and a burst champion come late game, but not necessarily extended DPS.
She does make it easier to kill the backline if she lands a good shockwave, though.
Yeah. And typically that happens when you have a delivery system of some kind. What's interesting, though, is when Jensen did play it twice in week 4, he was able to just deliver it himself. He did, he was making amazing initiations with the shockwave. So Jensen is a tier above most other Orianna players.
Yeah. I always like to point out things like that where you need to remember midway. Okay, we're just going to have another standard lane swap here as it happens, though. But, especially mid-game when the team fights are coming very quickly, there are a lot of things to keep track of. Orianna ball sometimes gets lost. I got 16 gold there, I think he got.
Yeah, he was able to steal one of the small ones. Svenskeren did smite.
Who gets
away
this?
The big one. Well, Rush doesn't have
I mean, he just kind of gave that to him. What was that?
He'd already smited the big one. I think he didn't want to take much more damage.
I mean, you just walk away from it and make Yellowstar do all the work himself. But if you're just gonna auto, take your hands off the keyboard and auto.
Let's see who gets it.
Anyways, that's only 16 gold. Very small. Small thing.
It's the tilt, Kobe. It's the, no, I'm just kidding. Still be fine. We saw a little bit of the same thing happening last game between the junglers as well. They fare just perfectly here as we get into the laning phase. Cloud9 to the bot side, and looks like TSM's going to answer a bit more accordingly this time. They did well last time, but it's just matching it, I should say, not more accordingly.
We've seen this before. No
say that.
Big tweaks here, although Svenskeren is just a little bit ahead in the jungle race.
One small wrinkle is that the Kindred mark did spawn on Rush's side this time. So he'll be able to pick that up. Ooh. Everyone does count.
I think the harass won't matter much for Gangplank unless they decided to get into a second turret take race. Sometimes if one team is far ahead of the other team and recognize they have a better team composition for taking the turrets, they'll go for that. But neither one of these teams has anything crazy like a Jinx that kills turrets super fast. So I think they're just going to do the normal trades.
Yeah, now let's see if they actually swap to continue the trading, because we did just see them last time around. They answered after first turret down instead of kind of the more normal option where both side outer turrets are traded and you swap your ADs over to the other side. Last time we saw them meet up and only trade one turret each for the very early stage.
Yep. And like TSM broke the gentleman's agreement and said, no, we're going to defend that turret. Jensen finding some pressure, Svenskeren in mid.
I don't know.
Waited quite a bit for the bait.
Turn it.
The shield's going to be big here. It's definitely going to prevent the death on the side of TSM. That's why C9 does not want it. Howling Gale missing kind of provides some extra trade damage, but they don't win that overall.
That actually forces, big cooldown here. Balls has to use his teleport.
Yeah, well, the lane isn't necessarily in a position for him to farm. I think it's going to change the distribution of farm somewhat. Well, like I'm trying to think of, I agree with you that teleport this early is a big cooldown, but in this specific instance, what is it delaying?
What it forces is Cloud9 can't answer if TSM decided to load one side of the map, basically. And that does put pressure on TSM, which TSM haven't really stepped up as far as being super proactive with early plays. And so it kind of puts more pressure on TSM. Hey, there's a freeze up top for Cloud9 that they're just starting to switch now with Sneaky.
Yeah.
He can't join if you force something on bottom, but TSM haven't really been the team to try and force something, even if there is, a teleport discrepancy here.
Exactly. It's been
Balls
so much.
does have some wave clear.
It's been so much trading back and forth, but I mean, especially in the early game, the Gangplank would be very vulnerable, and the Elise and Maokai are tremendously strong tower divers this early on in the game. So if it were to be setting up a play, you would expect it to be Haunter teleporting in to force a turret dive with Svenskeren.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Cloud9 also, they don't even have to switch balls over to that side. Uh-oh. Jensen's out of mana and out of time.
Oh, Haunter, flash twisted advance. There's going to be first blood. Haunter involved in that one. Did Doublelift get there too? He did. Good assists as well for TSM.
Rush staying out on the map really long time. His first play, I feel like he was talking to Jensen. Either Jensen or Rush wanted to turn that play around in the mid lane, ended up forcing Jensen's flash backwards. And then here, he's just kind of in the mid lane. Haunter doesn't even have to burn his teleport, but he has the freedom to be anywhere else because he has the teleport to correct. So in a small way, that is a bit of a trade back for the Summoner spell. And he still has his teleport, so it's more than just a cost.
More TSM opens up these lanes too. It's going to be difficult for Balls and Sneaky to get those calls stacked up and cleared up as well. Top lane shouldn't be too much trouble here. Quite far out of Sneaky, but High's going to try to give him some backup. Here comes Yellow Star just floating along the side. It looks like they're going to give more coverage and vision.
They actually are going to get ganked here. Rush is already in position for countering, so TSM make the wise choice not to overextend it there.
Level 6, 6-6 mid. We'll have to see when this Gangplank Cannon Barrage is going to start making some options open up for Cloud9. Already pressured here on the top turret. Don't have the vision to dive, so it definitely won't be yet. I mentioned before, the Cullings kind of put a timer on this one, so Cloud9 actually looking to take a breather here in the early game and get themselves farmed up. No real goal discrepancy between either team just yet. See Doublelift and Balls trying to go toe-to-toe here in the bot lane. No real ground gain on either side, just farming away.
No real deep vision either, so gonna have to back all the way off. I think Yellow Star is gonna get distracted by the ward first one, interrupt it, but good retreat there by Balls as Svenskeren was treading to the side of the map.
Yeah, Balls had hit level 5 a little bit before Haunter, but that's
Punish the no flash here.
equalizing out a bit. And yeah, I think they should look to continue punish this flash,
GPS
ignite,
juice.
and ult for Bjergsen. Jensen always has them.
I mean, he always dodges Elise cocoons. It is a little bit easier on Orianna because you can speed boost yourself there.
Yeah, I think at a certain point playing against Jensen on Elise, you would actually just want to walk up and then just human form Q him before even trying for a cocoon, because he's always going to be looking to juke back and forth, and that'll allow you to get into a range to at least spellcast. That's a lot of poke. He's going to take the shadow.
Quite painful. The hits come in. Bjergsen's actually going for lane dominance. There's the kill coming in. Lamb's Respite's going to get a quick save onto this one. Invulnerable as it pops. and Jensen stays alive. The pressure here is going to be since Svenskeren. Since that ult now down, they can kind of hang out.
Jensen low on mana. He's had to start with the Seeker's arm guard. So this is why it's a tricky matchup.
And we just saw Rush go down. Now where is he again? Back to the mid lane, soaking up experience with Jensen.
And that's the thing. Anytime you show as a jungler and you have to cover for a laner who's getting pressured like that, it just feels bad because even though you get lane minions, you give up a bunch of your jungle. Svenskeren jumps right in, very smart by him, goes and takes away. Red buff camp here, also going to go and add some support to this bottom side for Doublelift and Yellow Star. Looks like he's going to recall. They should alert him that high's coming, but that ward, we'll see everyone.
Yeah, and it's looking like TSM has the laning advantage from these swaps. I think a lot of it just has to happen from having the teleport advantage for so long and Rush having to cover a lot of these lanes, but 11 CS up top, an assist in the mid of the even CS, and then 13 CS down on the bottom side. All things add up to 1,000.
As well, these are the moments where they have gone back, and there was a period of time where TSM was kind of roaming free, but the wards are going to start hurting C9. It's very dark on the map compared to about 4 vision. Those pink wards from TSM already encroaching on the C9 side.
That is a good point, because usually, so here's the thing about low ward stats. If you're a team that always gets ahead early, and then it's very easy to play when ahead without having to expend much on vision because you can protect the pink wards you have. You also can push up minion waves, which give you vision.
Right.
And you also have the pressure to move into the enemy jungle. But playing from behind and having low ward stats is a very different issue.
Yeah, but now when TSM is pushing the tempo, Cloud9 doesn't have the greatest vision of this, and they could potentially dive.
Pressured.
A little vision on Svenskeren. They're waiting for that dive, but even with that, unsure if Cloud9 would be able to stop the power that TSM is kind of rolling with right now. The package was there. They're going to back off for Dragon.
They're running Gangplank top lane, and they have double culls on their team.
Yeah.
As well as going the defensive early items for playing on. Really, Cloud9 is not looking to team fight right now, and TSM is... Doublelift should have finished that, but his package was going to run out, and now they're actually in a bit of danger of getting it stolen.
Uh-oh.
He's got smite.
Got it.
Wait,
he has smite. Didn't want to use it. Challenge. She's got to challenge someone later. Gets it on high.
All right, I think we're going to fight here. Someone ring the bell. Okay, high flash is out. Rush stuck. He's going to be able to vault over the wall. That's a repel and a flash from Yellow Star to as well carry Doublelift with a bit of speed. We see High going down on the Braum. That's a kill for Haunter. Rush is going to fall as well. Jungler on jungler action. And now Haunter looks to pick up another one. Does he not have flash as he throws the ball over the wall? The chase. There's no pursuit from the sapling.
The sapling's looking for him.
Yeah, this whole time, the Gangplank ultimate is up as well. Maybe they use their globals here. Curtain call.
Oh.
Gangplank.
They should be able to block enough for this. Panda Barrage goes down. A nice little, like, slow wombo of damage. But it doesn't come out. Really easily able to dodge there.
That was actually a really weird scenario where Cloud9 got baited in, I think, by the fact that Doublelift did leave.
I think they got a little bit baited into by the fact that Svenskeren wasn't smiting. They're like, oh, maybe we can steal it. He didn't execute it. Let's go. Then he just challenging smites, gets him really low. And like all of TSM is there. You're not going to match the teleport from a Maokai and a Gangplank at this stage in the game. The Gangplank is going to be much weaker.
Yeah, I mean...
They would have loved to have that kill actually go over to Bjergsen, but sap magic right there.
Going into that, as we said, they don't want to fight this, yet they go overextend, go for the steal, and they do fight it. And then expend a bunch of summoners, lose kills over it, and are in a much worse position now.
And I want to jump back just a few minutes to our conversation on wards as well. Because like you said, when Cloud9 is ahead, it doesn't matter that they have low warding because they actually have like the second highest jungle control of all teams in North American LCS, which is just the overall jungle minions they kill. The overall share of jungle minions in the game, Cloud9 kills more, which indicates that they are constantly in the other team's jungle. So them being there is their wards. They're essentially human wards walking through the enemy team's jungle, and they don't get surprised by people. Whereas when you look at TSM, they had the third highest wards placed in the regular season and a very low wards cleared percentage, which indicates that they're playing scared a lot of the time. They're sitting back on their hind legs and just maybe trying to react, where they're not clearing anything, so it's hard to surprise people. Now they kind of have the perfect storm, though, because Cloud9 has lost their pressure, and instead of defensive wards, TSM is placing offensive wards. So they're getting vision, and Cloud9
have teleport advantage for this fight, though.
Ooh, missed shockwave.
That's a bye-bye Jensen. One last hit. He's able to get the spin to win on, and it looks like they may be able to finalize the kill on Balls as well. Very low. High jumps in after almost losing Balls. He's trying to get the rest of the team in position to guard the turret, and he does so with the half
that
of his
was
HP.
with teleport advantage. TSM come out with the kill. Also, they stopped the objective Cloud9 started. A huge, huge power play there from TSM. Haunter got to just continue farming because he can't join. He had no teleport, so that means very, very big swing here because Haunter's teleport will come up first, plus they got the extra kill, bunch of control, and Sven goes in for another red buff counter.
Yeah.
Very big outplay there from TSM.
Goes from bad to worse for Cloud9, and with the double call start and the Gangplank, the level 8 Gangplank teleporting in with a Phage and a Sheen is not really a threatening thing.
Shot him once.
Yeah, he did it as he jumps back to his shadow afterwards. Bjergsen got the kill onto Jensen yet again, who has not been able to complete his Zhonya's. This is looking a little dangerous for Cloud9 here.
Look at back in the top lane. Once again, Haunter on the Maokai, 2-0-0. Has been quite useful in all the plays except for stealing Bjergsen's last kill.
And look at that Rod of Ages build, too. He's going to have some extra damage in this one as well.
Hey, he's definitely feeling confident on that champion, and he is showing it within his play. The team is not afraid to keep engaging on these instances that Cloud9 has been giving them. I have to wait for Cloud9 to keep farming up. 5 stack left on Sneaky, 22 left for Balls, and Jensen looking to get to a core item. Still a good amount of damage that they can hit TSM with to get that late game shockwave, but that's the idea now, is almost late game for them to get that. 14 minutes in right now, 1 minute on Dragon. Cloud9 should be able to kind of contest, but it'll be dangerous.
Well, I think it'd be actually, this is actually TSM's game right now. Like this stage of the game, they have a lot of advantages. They have a Zed who can split work. They have the extra teleport. And their 3-man squad is extremely resilient here. With Janna for disengage, Corki and Zed both have escapes of their own. So TSM are set up very well if they want to continue to make gains using a 1-3-1. And they do get that mid turret down. The only outer turret left is on the bottom side, and Haunter shoved that all the way in. Now Balls is pinned there. He doesn't have teleport. The only thing he can do is add his ultimate to a team fight that breaks out. And remember last time there was a team fight, TSM won at 4 versus 5, even with the teleport coming in.
Right.
Yeah, meanwhile they can just take Rift Hell control because, I mean, until a Zhonya's comes in or until someone gets a little tankier, Bjergsen has to be absolutely respected here. This is the point in the game that Jensen didn't reach last game on Zed. He was never ahead of the itemization curve. Bjergsen got Zhonya's very quickly, therefore the Zed never had kill threat. But right now, Bjergsen has kill threat on everyone on Cloud9. Maybe Rush can put down his Kindred ultimate and stop the Deathmark temporarily and then die afterwards when it comes down. So Cloud9 totally on their back foot. Yeah. Their calls are 3 CS away from both being completed. They'll need to complete those, get Essence Reaver on Sneaky, get Trinity Force on Balls, and then still stall out a little bit longer. And by that point, it might be too late because Haunter could have tanked up on Maokai. We've already talked about the overall damage problems Cloud9 might be running into. So, once again, TSM is actually looking pretty good.
We gotta look at the fact, as you were saying, Bjergsen can kill everybody. That's allowable because C9 actually isn't running Balls tanks anymore. They're not running anything that can really stop Bjergsen. So he goes back to the Zed. He goes back to things he can carry the game on. 102, feeling confident about it so far. Not up in CS in the lane, but up in map control for the rest of the team. Already starting that split in the bottom lane with a little bit of pressure here in the jungle from the team. Top lane is all Haunters, and looks like Balls will have to respect that.
All right, as we get closer to the mid game here, we do have to keep in mind the game-changing abilities that Cloud9 have on their side, though. Yes, they are behind. They can turn this around with the Gangplank explosion of the barrels, even though he only has Trinity Force. Whoa, Yellow Star again! I feel like we always have that moment in a TSM game where you're just like, what's going on? Yellow Star's dead.
Yeah, it's happened in both of these games he's on John, and we're talking about TSM being in full control, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. He's somewhere he absolutely shouldn't have been. Because they were just setting up for the Dragon that was going to be safe anyway because of the general positioning of the game. A small bit of gold back to Cloud9, but yet another Dragon and still control to TSM.
Anyways, as I was saying,
there we go.
Never mind.
Duel. The Roa versus the Trinity Force.
Oh, that's a lot of pain.
Oranges versus Sapling.
Should have it here. There's the shot, the slow.
He doesn't know if he wants to go in or not.
Little trial by fire. See if he can heat it right under his toes. There's the burn. He's going for the kill. Oh, Oh, doesn't get it that time. Someone finds out how to shut down the Haunter, but Svenskeren not too happy about it. Also, not too much is going on across the map. A bit of a roam over from Jensen. He'll stop. Actually, bottom lane is a whole bucket of fun, and it's going to be one going down.
And then
you lose Sneaky, looking to lose high on this one, and they get the turret. You are very right, chat. Top lane is going to be Rush as well. Coast to coast. So we're going to need some body bags.
Cross-mapping, by the way, which was what Cloud9 had control of at the very start of the series. Even though Cloud9 has the Gangplank ultimate, they lose cross-map fights to TSM. A fight happens in the top lane. TSM has a stronger 2v2 in the bottom side, and that kill pressure power spike moment for Bjergsen is capitalized on.
Yeah, the kill pressure bottom, I was kind of expecting the kills there for TSM with the Zed Corki, but up top when Rush got outplayed, he had flash up. Versus Svenskeren. Anyways, here's what happened down bottom. Zed with the dive there from Bjergsen. Nice play. Double lift applying the extra damage as well and taking the turret in the process. But
this is the crazy one.
It's a full range cocoon. He changed flash up. I mean, Rush, you have to react to that.
Yeah.
A lot of times Rush just has so much confidence in his ability to dodge skill shots or that the enemy is just going to miss. But this time he was up against the wall, so there's not much juking he actually could have done.
Yeah.
And the stun prevents him from being able to put down his Lamb's Respite.
Also, the play in the bot lane to reflect is just, you can see Cloud9 is not ready. TSM is in their head. They're ready to pull the trigger. Cloud9 not expecting that. Pretty interesting this far into the game with the advantage that TSM has. TSM's going to look to grab onto that as soon as they can get it once again. There's Yellow Star doing some crazy stuff. Hopefully he stays alive in this situation. 20 minutes on the clock, 7-2. Still looking to get kills around the board. Rush has those 2 kills right now, and Sneaky's going to be the next one. Just being too close every time has been the reason for somebody going down. Being too close. That's it.
Again, the thing that people always point out about Jhin, you know, even though everyone's so hyped up to see Sneaky's Jhin, you know, he's a low mobility champion. Zed loves preying on those low mobility AD carries.
Yeah.
Once again, takes out Sneaky, knows he has no flash from the last time. TSM get to close the loop here, continue applying pressure.
Maybe in a late game team fight where he has more base health and Jensen can throw a Orianna shield on him, they can stop Bjergsen a bit. But when they're in this split up set, it's not going to happen, and Bjergsen is continuing to snowball this really heavily. He is essentially 1,500 gold ahead of anyone else on Cloud9's team. 8,500 there for Zed. His closest would be 7,300 for Gangplank. And that's because of the barrels a little bit.
Get that spider.
Hey.
Whatever they can do at this point, another game where TSM has the lead at 15 minutes, completely turning this on. And by all lanes, they've basically come out ahead. And again, Svenskeren is able to take down Rush in the jungle. 201, 92-72. Something we thought would go completely different throughout this series.
Yeah, now I would like to see TSM actually concentrate their vision control because it's kind of spread out right now. Okay, double lift though.
Yeah, it takes a bit of a bad fight, but he is able to Valk flash away and avoid the ultimate. He's still force a base from Rush. So they might be able to keep up a little bit of pressure. Once again, they really love having Haunter over in those side lanes, which seems a little bit strange at this point. You'd think they'd have Bjergsen off split pushing, because Haunter's arrival to the team fights is going to be late. But they got away with it in game 2, and they're getting away with it again here.
It's almost like Bjergsen's ability to kill somebody is just that great that they can keep him in the mid lane.
Give him
like,
the
I'd rather just kill someone.
Just make him more powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the 1-3 run is exceptional when you're ahead like this. So they can use both of them and split push the side lanes, and their 3-man squad can disengage almost anything. With the amount of vision they have, they have both sides of the jungle lit up. Here comes the teleport play, actually. Haunter going to try and catch Rush.
Flying around, slowed by Wolf. The flash prep to the wall.
Hello.
It's a big reach.
Holds the smash, letting the Twisted advance, lock him down for as long as possible. Very nicely done by Haunter. Now they have to look at the fight once again. Bjergsen ready to fly over the wall on the outside. And here's the bot lane of TSM now approaching the fight. And Cloud9, they're actually stepping quite far out from the turret, taking quite a bit of poke. It looks like TSM says, we're spending too long here. Let's actually pressure the objective.
Yeah, I think that kind of goes to show how far ahead TSM is. Haunter committed really far for that fight and wasn't punished for it at all. In fact, TSM then had a chance to commit further and didn't do it, and now they're baiting a fight here. Bjergsen is behind Cloud9.
What's his target? He has Jensen. Jensen's shield is up. They're gonna
Sneaky's
be right
right
on
on
the
the
Sneaky.
hill.
That's the exhaust goes down. He's left
boy.
by himself. The double kill coming in for Bjergsen.
That should be Baron.
6-0-2 right now.
TSM are absolutely dismantling Cloud9 right now. Rush is making his way over with balls, but
They have Shockwave still, so if they wanted the full hero play,
Oh!
maybe. But they're so far behind here. The Shockwave, he doesn't have Zhonya's yet, but still dicey. Rush has
Oh,
Spike.
Yellow Star in the pit. He's going to take the AoE damage. He's going to be going down. So Rush picks up a little gold here, but it drops right out of his pocket into the hands of Double Lift, and they are just exchanging checks back and forth. TSM make out. Good guy, Double Lift.
He's like,
Baron
Baron's
is pissed, man.
All right, one more time. This is a
Get off
very
my
much
lawn, kid.
continuously going for broke for C9.
It was set up to be a trap. That's why Bjergsen hid in the Tribe Rush. They very easily kill Braum. Sneaky is a low mobility carry, as we talked about, and then they get the kills and turn back for Baron.
This is
Rush
actually
comes
really
all the way
messy.
back. This turns into a super messy fight because they thought it was going to be a little bit clean, but they're like, wait a minute, he still has Shockwave. And this is kind of the split call, right?
Double Lift there.
so low.
Double Lift there definitely deserves credit for that Valkyrie because Balls was coming to deliver the Poro, and Double Lift barely got out of that Shockwave. But then Rush goes right into the Baron pit.
Got the kill from
With the
Yellow Star.
repel, it means Baron's gonna finish him off.
Yeah. And how does Baron stay so angry throughout this? Because does something hit him to make him? That was
He was
strange.
angry.
Either way,
That damn kids.
big win for TSM. Stop fighting around me, making all that noise.
6-0-3, 305. One of those two members we said would have the highest kind of resource put into them in the game. Bjergsen Double Lift at it again. 14-4 and 25 minutes on the clock. TSM with a very nice 7,000 gold lead. And now they continue to pressure these leads. We kind of question, would they be able to? And yes, they very much are. Also making a very good case for themselves once again for that playoff TSM style. Coming into the back half of the split, 3 wins, 6 losses, into what could be a quick quarterfinals against Cloud9. Here onto Balls, he's not getting out of this one alive. And he will be going down quite fast.
Yep.
Bjergsen Zed.
Just one after
Listen,
the other right now.
When a team is 1-3-1ing you, you have to be able to track the rotations from lane to lane. And there is a non-fully upgraded Sightstone item, so High can only pack 3 wards at once. And there's no Tracker's Knife or Sightstone on Rush for his Kindred. So he did the challenging smite because he loves to get aggressive, get up people's faces. But when that backfires, they have no presence and no way of knowing where Bjergsen is going to be. So he's very easily been able to just walk down lanes. No one is there's no wards there, and just surprise Cloud9 over and over again for 7 kills.
Yeah. Kill potential's ticking back up. His Ignite almost ready. See where they go from here. Cloud9 trying to clean up waves, and you could see Bjergsen already. He's like, oh look, Sneaky off by himself. Can I kill him? Not just yet.
I mean, TSM right now, they have so many options. Once again, I think they should actually collapse their vision into this top side around Baron because they can bait so easily. And Hanser has teleport, so all you do is split with Hanser and Bjergsen, and you ward up Baron. And then if C9 ever even come close to Baron, you just teleport in with Hanser. You get an easy flank. Whatever happens, it's a win-win scenario for TSM. Either they get Baron or they get the fight they want because they're so far ahead in gold and they can crush the team fight.
And they can't even really make TSM think differently about this. You saw High try to add pressure to the mid lane, but Bjergsen just gets free time in the top here. And now Cloud9 has to react. They get themselves down to the bot
has
side.
home guards. He's waiting in the fountain to use his teleport right now.
Good call. Good eye, Kobe.
It's probably a Baron bait of some kind. There is upgraded sweeper onto Svenskeren. There's 3 pink wards in the inventory of TSM. So they're going in, teleports behind him. This is the fight.
Oh, face check of face checks. It looks like they get themselves to a somewhat safe spot, but that TP has already come in, and Cloud9's health bars are absolutely melting. Lamb's Respite, the last thing saving them from being 6 feet under here, and there's a kill onto Sneaky, following up with Rush. Jensen is just barely with enough mana to keep himself in the fight. High is down, and now TSM runs for the fight once again. Baron once again.
Is taking this Zed play to the next level. A true ninja here. Everyone on TSM dodging that shockwave as well, and he gets the kill on the exit with his shadow.
And then Baron almost gets him again.
Baron's still pissed at him. Baron hates ninjas.
Bear, not a Bjergsen fan, trying to kill him twice in a row here. But yeah, TSM, total control. This was actually a very well-baited fight. Cloud9 does check a little bit early, probably earlier than they had to, but Hanser gets in. He's a massive tank, so he gets to buy time while the Kindred Dolphin is up. Bjergsen goes deep through. Once he gets hit by the Exhaust, he will go back. The Exhaust will run out.
Look at the double kill here.
And then he will Shuriken through to get the Braum as well, as the Deathmark killed Sneaky. Just such crisp Zed play.
It's like riding bike for him. When Bjergsen came over, these were the kind of plays we saw. It's kind of like that has dipped down. We haven't really seen the Zed Bjergsen come out once again. Put on a show for us here in the quarterfinals at 9-0-4. Participated in 13 out of those 18 kills around the map. And he has the highest CS in the game. Still looking to make pressure on the map by himself. The team knows he can do that roam. It looks like TSM is just waiting to put the final touches on.
Rush had a flash. Just got caught out again. Didn't see what happened, but the cooldown has been burned.
He's in a very toying with the enemy mode. And the enemy is much bigger at this point.
Exactly. If I had to guess, he would have had to flash away from Hanser, just worried about a Twisted Advance being clicked on him. He needs to be alive for the next fight.
Missed skill shots don't even deter TSM that much. They still have enough power to just stand tall, take these turrets down. Sneaky damage on the backside there. He is forced to go back to base. They'll have a little bit more free time. Bottom wave is just a few ways away from being on that turret right now, and they're going to go for the top lane. High should be going down here. Saves himself with Locket and a little bit of defense.
Yep.
TSM they're hitting a brick wall here. They're actually looking for kills and not getting what they could be. This may be one of those kills they're looking for.
Yeah, well, Hanser is in. He's taking a lot of turret damage.
Monsoon.
The lead is there. Nice Monsoon there by Yellowstar to head off the rest of the Cloud9 team and keep them alive. Bjergsen killed balls at the start of that fight. Hanser goes in.
Oh.
Curtain call can only hit a few. And it's
does almost no damage to full health
nothing right
targets.
now, yeah. No Infinity Edge
He's
yet.
3 levels behind Doublelift, actually, so really a big reason you're seeing that not even hurt.
This is a stomp at this point.
It really is. It may be 5 minutes slower, but it's consistent. Twice TSM has now done this to Cloud9. Definitely playing on their mentality here in the quarterfinals. A very strong first game and showing from C9, but they have not been able to find that yet again. And TSM will now be able to take 2 in a row, just 30 minutes on the clock this time, 23-4 in an even stronger fashion. TSM take game 3 of the series and look to go game point.
Yeah, they're now 1 win away from making it to the semifinals yet again after their worst regular season in their franchise's history.
Right. A big change, that mentality shift after that first game. And they have been able to produce results after coming from backstage. Cloud9 now need to figure out a way to do that for themselves. Take a breather, reset, forget about those. But
Cloud9,
play
yeah.
best.
They seem to be falling apart a little bit. Rush, I think, in particular, needs to take a moment and refocus.
Yeah,
Rush
agreed.
in particular,
Agreed.
like you said, was getting dismantled in that game from the entire side of TSM. Whether it was Bjergsen, whether it was a Maokai being randomly there, he just was not in the right positions. And Svenskeren, even though 4 total jungle bans happened in the game, the jungler Kindred was first picked for Rush, Svenskeren had the better game here on Elise.
Yeah. Even after having a struggle on Elise in the first game, it didn't seem like it's really what was working for him. Not all the cocoons were hitting, but didn't phase any of Team SoloMid. They played, like you said, League. We haven't seen this split. I mentioned before, 3-6 on the back half to Cloud9's 6-3 on the end of the split, but it hasn't phased TSM in the playoffs here.
And I didn't really expect Cloud9 to lose these games in this fashion. Like, we knew that their wards being low could be, like, theoretically their weak spot, but they were so good early game that it hadn't been punished. So TSM has been picking really good lanes or really strong early jungle pressure, and they've been able to punish that weakness of Cloud9 because we see when Cloud9 is falling behind in these games, they do not have the practice setting down defensive vision in order to stop these roam plays. So it's got to be a big pivot for Cloud9 strategy-wise, I feel like, if they want to come back to the series.
Even in the game that Cloud9 won, they had a big mistake early in the game, and were just able to recover.
Very true. They kind of just went back at it, got it to work for them. We'll see if it works for this one, and we get a game 5, or it's going to be match point for TSM. Right now, we're going to turn it over to Dash and our analysts.